My number one thing that I like is attack angle.
Yeah, and that's why I focus with Kate, you know, the playing score. I feel like if her playing score is there, then we've got a shot.
When all of my kids are from 8 to 12 in attack angle, it's crushed.
Right.
When we start to, you know, when their attack angle is good is when we really hit it. And that 8 to 12, that's what I told them to go. If you look on Blast, this is 3 to 15. But when we're in 8 to 12,
right,
it's.
Do you mind taking through your workflow on the Block Connect side of how you go in and check that attack angle? Do you filter it by the week, the last 30 days? How do you kind of?
For me, I'll pick whichever player. I'll pick my player that I'm working with, and then I usually go with her last 50 swings or so.
Okay.
And then if I go on her last 50 swings after we've been working on it and see where she's at with her last, see how we finished, because I'll know where we started because we wanted to, obviously if we're working on it, then you started off probably not very well. So we'll switch over and do it like that. That's how I do it.
What about like as a you guys seem like an awesome coaching team. Like, what's your guys' workflow of sitting down and like looking at the numbers? What do you guys kind of go through first?
Well, Joe's definitely a little bit more numbers driven than I am.
Yeah,
I guess I'm more result driven. He's process driven. Does that make
right.
is that fair to say?
I'm trying to understand. Yeah, I would say that. I'm trying to get the why. Why is this happening?
Mm-hmm.
I'm that guy.
Cam's with us. Sometimes he's not with us as much. But he probably dominates that over Crystal as far as looking at the numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah, on our team, I do a lot of the offensive stuff. So a lot of times, me and Joe would come in the winter, and we would talk about like a couple of kids that we're constantly working with. Because in the winter, we have multiple kids from multiple teams. The way we run our winter stuff, so we would just say, "Hey, look at her swing, her attack angle. I bet your attack angle's not good." And then you go over and ask the kid, like, "Hey, what's your attack angle been, or what's your rotation been, or your early connection?" And then you can see it from far away. Mm-hmm. And then that way, when we're talking the same language, then you go over and talk to them the same language, and it really starts to like.
That's what we were talking about earlier. Just being able to bounce off with different eyes on your kids.
Yep.
I mean, but still knowing what the process is. And it's not like his swing mechanics are going to be different than anybody else's in here. It's just like, it almost simplifies it. Like I was saying, like, don't try to overanalyze it. Don't talk about this and that. Here's the numbers. Let's improve the swing.
Sometimes somebody's verbiage is just a tad bit different.
Right.
So a lot of times, like if I'm struggling with a kid, then I'll ask somebody, that I know, like me and Joe are on the same page with stuff. I'll say, hey, or Josh does it a lot, especially with my kid because talking to your own kid, that's how it works. So I'll be like, hey, and then he'll say similar to what I've already said, but it clicks, So those things like that, you just have to take advantage of every opportunity you had to make your kids better.
And that's probably the biggest thing is, all these people that make all this money on camps and stuff like that. Like, it's funny, like we say the exact same thing, but they go there and whatever works. Yeah. And we all have daughters, and obviously our daughters are all at that 12-year-old age, so it's kind of like, I'm listening to him, but I'm not listening to you.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then we take advantage of that just because once you know that, hey, if my daughter's in the cage with Josh or she's in the cage with Joe, like I don't have to look over there and worry because they're speaking the same language I'm speaking. We're all teaching the same philosophy, using the same technology. Like that, and then you get them back in your cage and you see that they've got a little bit better. So you're like, hey, like you're happy with what is going on.
It's just easy to say what you're working on and see the results.
Yeah.
And if you go like, if I send my daughter or he sends his daughter and he says, hey, we've been working on attack angle, her attack angle's like off, then I can come in and start talking about it. And we're not talking like way in different, we already know where to start. She needs to work on attack angle. Well, all right, I'm gonna go to all my attack angle drills. Or she needs to work on early connection. She's not getting early connection. Go straight to the drills. Instead of you having to watch her take 20 swings and figure it out, he can just tell me which metrics she's struggling with. I can go straight to it and kind of cut it off at the head.
Sounds like you guys kind of create your own secret sauce too, like what things to prescribe certain types of hitters or deficiencies or whatever. You mind talking about like the difference in cues, like maybe it's mental cues or like like for me, like working on rotation, like the one way I think about it is like, all right, I'm gonna hit with my back hip. I'm just gonna think about driving my back hip rather than whatever hands first. I mean, do you guys have anything that like you found that
for me, it's separation.
Always we talk about separation.
Separation. Separation. And then I started getting on the big, make sure you load into your heel so you feel that hip get really tight, so that then that way, once you feel the hip get tight, you can feel it release, which means that you turned it. When you load into your knee, you can't really, sometimes you don't get to feel the hip, but when you load into your heel, you really feel that rotation. But separation is the biggest thing, because a lot of times when our kids are struggling, when their blast numbers go down, their separation is off. When their blast numbers go up, their separation is pretty good.
I talk a lot about back hip explosion, really getting the back hip through the ball. Maybe I don't say hands to the ball as much or inside the ball as I used to, but it's still barrel to the ball, find the sweet spot. Try to stay centered with your body. We have a lot of kids that like to, my shortstop on my team really likes to go forward. And then I try to grab his kid a little bit because she really likes going back. And I'm like, just stay there, just stay in the middle.
So hopefully we find that.
Yeah.
So I started saying all my kids stay stacked, knee, hip, shoulder, head, all in straight, stay stacked. Right. So my kids know when I'm coaching them in the game, if I say, hey, stay stacked, I'm not saying stay back because I don't want people to know that you're out in front. I'm just saying, hey, stay stacked. And then that's a different verbiage that my kids know, but other coaches aren't going to pick up. And then other kids that I've worked with in an organization will know what I'm saying when I say that, stay stacked or whatever.